A clash of worlds. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow over the bustling cityscape, Rachel Thompson strode confidently through the sliding doors of the airport terminal. Clad in a tailored navy suit, her presence exuded authority and elegance, an embodiment of success. Today, however, her usual composed demeanor was marred by a lingering irritation from a day overrun with business complications and frustrating negotiations. All she wanted was a peaceful, undisturbed flight from New York to San Francisco, where a critical meeting awaited her. Rachel's heels clicked against the sleek airport floor as she made her way to the first-class lounge, her mind replaying the day's events and mentally preparing for the challenges ahead. Her briefcase, a luxury leather piece that matched her ensemble, swung by her side, its contents secure and meticulously organized. Upon entering the first-class cabin of the airplane, her eyes swiftly scanned the space, noting the plush seats and the ambient, soothing atmosphere, a stark contrast to the chaos of the city she had just left behind. The flight attendant greeted her with a polite smile, but Rachel barely acknowledged it, her focus fixed on settling in and unwinding with a glass of vintage champagne. However, as she approached her assigned seat, her pace faltered, and her brow furrowed in disbelief. There, already comfortably seated next to her designated spot, was a man whose appearance starkly contrasted with the usual first-class clientele. Dressed in simple jeans and a plain gray hoodie, he seemed completely at ease, flipping through a stack of documents with an air of concentration. Rachel's initial reaction was one of confusion, quickly followed by annoyance. How could someone like him afford first class? The thought was unbidden but persistent, reflecting a momentary lapse in her usually strict professionalism. With a sigh, Rachel flagged down the nearest flight attendant, her tone clipped and colder than intended. "Excuse me, there seems to be a mistake. I believe I was supposed to have this row to myself," she stated, hoping to resolve the situation discreetly. The flight attendant checked her tablet, then looked up with an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry, Ms. Thompson, but there's no mistake. The flight is fully booked, and Mr. Davis here is in his correct seat." Rachel's gaze swept over the man, Mr. Davis, with a mixture of scrutiny and veiled disdain. She then turned back to the attendant, her voice lowering into a harsh whisper. "Is there another seat available? Perhaps in a different row?" "I'm afraid not," the attendant replied, her voice maintaining its professional warmth, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of discomfort. "We're completely full tonight. But I assure you, both seats here are first class, and you'll have the same amenities and privacy." Reluctantly, Rachel took her seat, placing her briefcase under the seat in front of her with more force than necessary. She felt the man's gaze on her, but she pointedly ignored it, staring straight ahead at the back of the seat. The tension was palpable as the cabin doors closed, and the aircraft began its taxi to the runway. Rachel opened her laptop, attempting to drown her irritation in work, while Mr. Davis returned to his documents, seemingly unperturbed by her presence. As the flight progressed, Rachel found her attention unwillingly drifting over to Mr. Davis. Despite her initial judgment, he handled his papers with a familiarity and precision that suggested a deep understanding of their contents. He was not loud or bothersome. In fact, apart from his casual attire, he behaved exactly as any first-class passenger should. An hour into the flight, Rachel's curiosity got the better of her. She closed her laptop with a sigh and turned to face him. "So, what brings you to first class?" she asked, her tone softer but still laced with a hint of skepticism. Mr. Davis looked up, his expression unreadable. "I'm heading to a conference in San Francisco." "And you?" "Business meeting," Rachel replied curtly, her curiosity somewhat satisfied but her pride not yet willing to fully retract her initial assessment. The conversation might have ended there, but as the flight attendant passed by, offering refreshments, Mr. Davis's next words took Rachel completely by surprise, setting the stage for revelations that would challenge everything she thought she knew about the world, and herself. Revelations at 30,000 feet. As the flight attendant deftly poured a glass of sparkling wine for Rachel, Mr. Davis politely declined his offer with a soft, "Just water for me," thank you." Rachel noted the choice, her eyebrows arching slightly, another contrast to the first-class norm of indulging in the finer things. Mr. Davis caught her look and chuckled, a deep, warm sound that seemed to fill the space around them. "I prefer to keep my mind clear," he explained, noticing her curiosity. "Especially when I have to prepare for what's ahead." Rachel nodded, accepting her drink but finding herself intrigued despite her reservations. "Preparations? For what exactly, if you don't mind me asking?" Mr. Davis turned to face her fully now, his demeanor open and inviting conversation. "I'm actually a keynote speaker at the conference. It's on urban sustainability and innovative infrastructure, topics that impact how we'll live in the future." Rachel's interest piqued, her own work often brushed against these subjects, though from a different angle. "That sounds quite significant. And here I assumed," she paused, catching herself, a flush of embarrassment coloring her cheeks. "You assumed differently based on my appearance?" Mr. Davis finished for her, not unkindly. His smile was gentle, forgiving. "It's not uncommon. I find it keeps me grounded, reminds me of where I started and the realities many face every day, regardless of their seat on a plane." Rachel felt a pang of guilt for her earlier judgment. She sipped her wine, using the moment to collect her thoughts before responding. "I apologize for my earlier behavior. It was unprofessional and unkind. You've clearly earned your place here, just as much as any of us." Mr. Davis waved off her apology with a gracious hand. "No offense taken. It's a common human reaction. What matters is our ability to move beyond first impressions." Encouraged by his openness, Rachel found herself engaging in a deeper dialogue with Mr. Davis. They discussed their respective fields, finding common ground in their dedication to shaping environments, she through real estate development, and he through public policy and environmental advocacy. As the conversation unfolded, Rachel was struck by Mr. Davis's insight in the passionate way he spoke about his work. It was clear he was not only well-informed but deeply committed to making a tangible difference in the world. His papers, scattered with notes and graphs, were testament to his thorough preparation and deep involvement in his projects. The flight seemed to pass quicker than Rachel expected, the usual tedium replaced by a stimulating exchange of ideas. When the pilot announced their initial descent into San Francisco, she was genuinely disappointed that their conversation had to end. Mr. Davis, sensing her shift in mood, offered a kind suggestion. "If you're not in a rush after landing, perhaps we could continue this discussion over coffee? There's a place just outside the airport that serves the best espresso you'll find on this side of the coast." Rachel considered his invitation. Only hours ago, she couldn't wait to distance herself from this man, and now she was contemplating extending their time together. It was unlike her, but then again, this entire flight had been a series of unexpected turns. "I would like that," she said, her voice reflecting a sincere appreciation for his company. "It's not often I meet someone who challenges my perspectives so effectively." As they gathered their belongings, Rachel felt a new sense of anticipation for the upcoming conference. It wasn't just the prospect of closing another high-stakes deal that excited her, but the opportunity to explore a newfound connection that promised a wealth of knowledge and a fresh perspective on her work and life. They walked off the plane together, a mutual respect established between two professionals who had met by chance and found common ground in the most unlikely of places. A meeting of minds. The air outside San Francisco International Airport was brisk, a refreshing contrast to the stale atmosphere of the airplane cabin. Rachel and Mr. Davis, whom she now addressed by his first name, Michael, found their way to the small cafe just a short walk from the terminal. The space was cozy, with a warm ambience that welcomed travelers and locals alike, offering a peaceful nook against the backdrop of the bustling city. As they settled into the corner of the cafe with their espresso, the conversation shifted from their professional lives to more personal anecdotes. Michael shared stories of his travels around the world, from the bustling markets of Marrakesh to the serene landscapes of the Norwegian fjords, each tale punctuated with insights on sustainable living and cultural diversity. Rachel listened, captivated not only by the content of his stories but also by the enthusiasm with which he told them. It was clear that Michael's experiences had profoundly shaped his worldview and his approach to his work. His passion for sustainability wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal, driven by a genuine desire to foster a better future. Feeling a connection she hadn't anticipated, Rachel found herself opening up about her own journey. She spoke of her early days in real estate, the challenges of navigating a male-dominated industry, and the satisfaction of seeing a long-term project come to fruition. She shared her dreams of developing more eco-friendly buildings, inspired by the recent trends and the pressing need for sustainability in urban development. Michael listened intently, his eyes reflecting a respect that made Rachel feel both valued and understood. He nodded thoughtfully, offering insights and suggesting innovative approaches that could integrate her existing projects with greener initiatives. The key, Michael said, stirring his espresso thoughtfully, is to find a balance between profitability and environmental responsibility. It's not just about the materials you use or the energy sources. It's about creating spaces that inspire, nurture, and sustain communities. Rachel considered his words, recognizing the truth in them. Her mind raced with ideas, possibilities for collaboration sparking between them. Here was someone who not only shared her professional interests but also challenged her to think bigger, to envision a role for her work that went beyond profit and property. As the cafe began to empty, with night falling over San Francisco, Rachel felt a reluctance to end the evening. The conversation had flowed effortlessly, a rare and valuable exchange that she knew could significantly impact her career, and perhaps her personal growth as well. "Michael," she began, hesitant yet driven by a newfound boldness, "would you be interested in collaborating on a project? I have been working on a development plan for a new residential complex, and I think your expertise could really help push the sustainability aspect to the forefront." Michael's face lit up with a genuine smile, his enthusiasm matching her own. "I'd be honored," he replied. "I think there's a lot we can achieve together. Let's set up a time next week to go over your plans and see where we can integrate some sustainable solutions." They exchanged contact information, their phones lighting up with notifications of the new connection. As they parted ways, Rachel felt a surge of excitement for the future, a sense of purpose rekindled by the unexpected meeting. Walking back to her hotel, the crisp night air felt invigorating, filled with potential. The chance encounter on the plane had turned into a promising professional partnership and, perhaps, the beginning of a meaningful friendship. Rachel knew that the days ahead would be busy, filled with meetings and negotiations, but the prospect of working with Michael added a layer of anticipation and optimism that had been missing for too long. In her room, overlooking the city lights, Rachel couldn't help but feel grateful for the surprising turn of events. Tomorrow, she would dive back into the hustle of her business life, but for tonight, she allowed herself to savor the unexpected joy of new possibilities. Synergy and strategy. The sun had barely begun to color the San Francisco skyline when Rachel found herself wide awake, her mind buzzing with ideas and possibilities. She lay in bed a while longer, allowing the concepts and plans she and Michael had discussed to percolate further. Their conversation had opened a new avenue of thought, one where her skills in real estate development could genuinely intersect with impactful environmental stewardship. The thought excited her, not just professionally but also personally, as she considered the legacy she hoped to leave behind. Determined to make the most of this unexpected opportunity, Rachel spent the morning in her hotel room, sketching out ideas and revisiting project plans with a new perspective. She visualized a residential complex that was not only aesthetically pleasing and functional but also a model of sustainability that could set a new standard in the industry. By mid-morning, she was ready, armed with notes and a refreshed presentation, to meet Michael at his office. Located in a green-certified building downtown, a testament to his commitment to sustainability, Michael's workspace was a blend of modern design and eco-friendly technology. The natural light that flooded the space and the indoor plants that thrived there seemed to mirror his approach to his work. Michael greeted her with a warm, inviting smile, his demeanor as engaging as she remembered from their flight. "Rachel, welcome. I've been looking forward to this all weekend," he said, ushering her into a conference room where the walls were adorned with plans and photographs of past projects, each showcasing innovative environmental solutions. As they settled into the meeting, Rachel laid out her plans for the new development, detailing the current specifications and her vision for integrating sustainable practices. Michael listened intently, interjecting occasionally with questions or suggestions, his expertise providing invaluable insights that Rachel eagerly absorbed. Together, they explored various aspects of sustainability, from energy efficiency and water conservation to building materials and waste reduction. Michael introduced Rachel to the latest in green technology, including solar tiles that could replace traditional roofing materials and smart systems that optimized energy use based on real-time data. The synergy between them was palpable, their combined enthusiasm fueling a creative exchange that was both productive and exhilarating. Michael sketched modifications to Rachel's plans, incorporating green roofs, rain gardens, and even a proposal for a community composting program that could involve residents in the building's environmental efforts. As the hours passed, their collaboration took shape on paper and in digital renderings, transforming Rachel's initial concepts into a groundbreaking project that promised not only to succeed commercially but also to contribute positively to the environment and the community. Feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and partnership, they decided to take a late lunch at a nearby cafe that sourced its ingredients locally, continuing their discussion in a more informal setting. Over a meal of farm-to-table dishes, their conversation shifted from professional to personal, sharing stories of what had drawn each to their respective fields. Rachel learned about Michael's background in environmental science and his passion for urban development that benefited both people and the planet. Michael was equally interested in Rachel's journey, her challenges, and her achievements in the competitive world of real estate. As the afternoon waned, they agreed to meet again the following day to refine their proposal further before presenting it to Rachel's team. Walking back to her hotel, Rachel couldn't help but feel that the weekend had turned out to be one of the most significant of her professional life. Not only had she gained a collaborator and mentor in Michael, but she had also discovered a new friend, someone with whom she shared a deep commitment to making a difference. That evening, as she reviewed the day's progress, Rachel felt a renewed vigor for her work. The project that was taking shape not only represented a new business venture but also a step towards fulfilling a more profound mission, one that could redefine her career and, perhaps, the industry itself. Challenges and opportunities. The following morning brought a crisp clarity to the air in San Francisco, reflective of the renewed focus Rachel felt as she prepared for the day ahead. Today's agenda was packed. Finalizing the proposal with Michael, presenting it to her team, and navigating the complex waters of stakeholder approval. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness, knowing that while their project was innovative and potentially transformative, it also challenged the traditional paradigms of real estate development. Rachel arrived at Michael's office early, armed with her laptop filled with data, projections, and the environmental impact assessments they had compiled. The office was quiet in the early morning light, the peaceful ambience allowing them to concentrate fully on the task at hand. They spent the morning refining every aspect of their proposal. Michael suggested incorporating an advanced gray water recycling system that could dramatically reduce water usage in the building. Rachel, in turn, introduced a financial model that highlighted the long-term cost savings and increased property values associated with green buildings. Together, they crafted a narrative that was not only compelling in terms of sustainability but also solidly grounded in economic benefits. As they wrapped up their preparations, Rachel felt a surge of pride. The document they had created was more than a business proposal, it was a manifesto for the future of urban living. However, she knew that the hardest part was still to come, convincing her company's board and the investors of the viability and profitability of this new approach. They took a brief lunch break, stepping out into the city to clear their heads before the afternoon meetings. Over sandwiches at a bustling deli, they discussed potential objections and strategies for addressing them. Michael's experience with public policy and environmental advocacy provided a unique perspective on how to engage with different stakeholders. Remember, it's not just about the numbers or even the environmental impact, Michael advised as they walked back to his office. It's about telling a story that they can see themselves being part of, one that aligns with their values and visions for the future. Buoyed by his confidence, Rachel felt ready to take on the challenge. They returned to the office to conduct a final review of their presentation, polishing their delivery and anticipating potential questions. The meeting with Rachel's team was scheduled for late afternoon, allowing just enough time for a thorough run-through of their presentation. The conference room filled up quickly, the air tense with anticipation as the project team, executives, and key stakeholders took their seats. Rachel opened the presentation with a strong, confident voice, outlining the vision and the broader implications of the project. Michael then took over, diving into the technical aspects of the sustainable systems they planned to integrate, his expertise evident and his passion infectious. The reaction was mixed. Some team members were visibly excited, nodding in agreement and jotting down notes. Others seemed skeptical, their expressions guarded as they considered the implications of such a radical shift in development strategy. The Q&A session was intense. Questions ranged from the specifics of the technology to the financial implications and the projected timeline. Rachel and Michael responded with a well-coordinated effort, complementing each other's answers, showcasing a united front that underscored their shared commitment to the project's success. As the meeting concluded, the room buzzed with conversations. While not everyone was convinced, the majority were intrigued and the excitement was palpable. Rachel felt a cautious optimism as she and Michael debriefed in his office afterwards. "We've planted the seed," Michael said with a smile. "Now, we just need to nurture it and help it grow." Rachel nodded, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment but also aware of the long road ahead. They had taken the first crucial steps towards not just a successful project, but a revolutionary one. As she left the office that evening, the city lights sparkled a little brighter, reflecting her own hopeful determination. The journey ahead would be challenging, but Rachel was ready to lead the charge, inspired not just by the potential for success but by the opportunity to make a real difference. The culmination and beyond. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity for Rachel. Every day presented a new challenge or opportunity, but armed with the comprehensive plan she and Michael had crafted, she felt equipped to handle whatever came her way. Their project, dubbed the Oasis, had begun to gain traction not only within her company but also across the broader real estate and sustainability communities. Rachel's mornings started early and ended late as she navigated the complexities of securing funding, obtaining necessary approvals, and coordinating with architects and engineers who were integral to bringing their vision to life. Michael was a constant presence throughout the process, providing his expertise and support as they faced various bureaucratic hurdles and technical challenges. Their hard work began to pay off when the Oasis received a significant grant from an environmental foundation looking to promote sustainable urban development. This milestone was a testament to the project's potential impact and viability, serving as a catalyst for further investment. Meanwhile, Rachel took the initiative to spearhead a series of community engagement sessions. These forums were designed to not only inform the local community about the project but also to solicit their input and address any concerns. These sessions were well attended, and Rachel found that interacting directly with future residents and local businesses gave her even more drive to see the project succeed. As construction began, Rachel was often on site, her suit traded for a hard hat and boots, overseeing every aspect of the development. She worked closely with the construction teams, ensuring that every element of the project adhered to the sustainability goals they had set. Michael, too, was frequently by her side, consulting on the integration of the green technologies they had proposed. The Oasis was taking shape, rising from the ground as a symbol of what the future of urban living could look like. The building's design included photovoltaic glass, green roofs, and walls that acted as air purifiers. Inside, water-saving fixtures and energy-efficient systems were installed to minimize the environmental footprint. The media began to take notice, and soon, Rachel found herself being interviewed for various business and environmental publications. Her story, and that of the Oasis, became a beacon for the possibilities of combining business acumen with a commitment to sustainability. Finally, the day of the grand opening arrived. The event was attended by city officials, investors, future residents, and members of the press. Rachel, standing beside Michael at the podium, felt a surge of pride and accomplishment as she addressed the crowd, her voice steady and full of emotion. "Today, we are not just opening a building, we are ushering in a new era of development," Rachel announced, gesturing to the impressive structure behind her. "The Oasis represents a leap forward in our thinking about how we live and interact with our environment. It is proof that sustainability and profitability can go hand in hand, and it is only the beginning." The applause was thunderous, echoing off the modern facades of their creation. As Rachel looked out over the crowd, she saw faces filled with hope and excitement, reflecting her own feelings. After the ceremony, as guests toured the building, Michael pulled Rachel aside, smiling broadly. "You did it," he said. "We did it." Rachel nodded, her eyes bright with tears of joy. "We did," she agreed, "and there's so much more to do." With the Oasis completed, Rachel knew this was only the first of many such projects she would lead. With Michael by her side, she was ready to continue breaking new ground, both literally and figuratively. As the sun set over the Oasis, casting long shadows and bathing the building in golden light, Rachel felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was more than a building, it was a beacon of change. And as she looked forward to the challenges and opportunities ahead, she was filled with determination to continue driving that change, one project at a time.